Travel cameras are now better than ever. They're as convenient as your phone with 100 times better image quality. But it's not every camera, only specific ones. And each camera is also made for a specific type of shooter. And if you're not careful, you might accidentally get the wrong camera. So let's talk about the best travel cameras for specific shooting styles, and I've personally tested every single camera on this list. And if you want the best prices on these cameras, check out the links down below. Now, the first camera on this list is for someone who wants a powerful hybrid camera, but in a small body without sacrificing image quality, and that is the Canon R8. It has a 24 megapixel full frame sensor, which is the same one from the very popular and much more expensive Canon R6 Mark II. So it's a high resolution sensor with phenomenal image quality. And it's also really good in low light up to 12,800 ISO using full stops of ISO, which means you can pretty much shoot and film anywhere, even at nighttime. And like every Canon camera, the Canon R8 has gorgeous, warm saturated colors that look really good, especially for portraits and nature. And the autofocus is pretty much 10 out of 10. This is a very reliable autofocusing system, even for moving subject matter, and it does everything really well. Plus, it also has automatic subject detection for people, animals, and cars. But the one thing that is missing is physical in-body stabilization. The Canon R8 only has digital stabilization, so keep that in mind. Now, in terms of actually shooting photos and videos, the Canon R8 shoots 6 frames per second in hybrid mechanical shutter, and it does an insanely fast 40 frames per second in electronic shutter. It's so fast that it's basically video, making it almost impossible to miss your moment while traveling. And it shoots gorgeous video as well, with 4K up to 60 frames per second and Full HD at 120 and 180 frames per second, giving you pretty much every single frame rate you could possibly need. Plus, it shoots photos in 14-bit RAW, so if you want to edit, you have a ton of flexibility in editing. And for video, it shoots C-Log 3 for the most amount of flexibility when it comes to color grading your video. And of course, you get all of this in a very small and compact body that is perfect for travel, lifestyle, and street photography. And I actually think this camera feels really good in the hands and is very satisfying to use on photo walks. Now, because of the small body, the button layout on the R8 is a bit minimal, but most people should be fine as casual users. And the battery is also kind of small, but it's fine for a few hundred photos and maybe about 40 minutes of video. But if you're going to be out for a long time, definitely pick up a spare, and you can always charge this via USB-C. But on the upside, it does have a high quality EVF and screen on the back that's also touch sensitive. When you're actually using the Canon R8, it's a really great camera to use, and it definitely feels like a premium product. So if you want a high quality hybrid camera in a small compact body, the Canon R8 might be exactly what you're looking for. Now, maybe some of you guys want even more resolution, more power, and a bigger pro-style camera body. In that case, you definitely want to check out the Sony A7 IV. And it's also had a massive price drop recently, so if you want the best deals on these cameras, check out the links down below. The Sony A7 IV has a 33 megapixel full frame sensor, which is a ridiculous amount of resolution. It's good enough not just for travel, but even professional work. It's also pretty decent in low light for both photos and videos, and you can shoot as high as 6400 ISO. Making it a very versatile travel camera that you can pretty much take anywhere. And the autofocus is tremendous even in low light. Sony cameras are pretty much known for having some of the best autofocus in the industry, so naturally the A7 IV is also tremendous. I'm not going to waste your time. It's a great autofocusing system. Plus, it also has physical in-body stabilization, which helps to steady the camera for handheld video and slow shutter photos. And if you're someone that likes to shoot while moving, this is definitely a feature you need. Now, for actually taking photos and videos, the A7 IV can shoot 10 frames per second with a very large frame buffer of over 400 photos in a row. So you can shoot for a really long time without the camera needing a break. And it shoots video at 4K up to 30 frames per second and 4K at 60 frames per second for 2x slow motion with an APS-C crop, which is a bit of a heavy crop, but most of you guys will be just fine. But if you do want uncropped slow motion, it does Full HD at 120 frames per second. And you've also got S-Log 3 and cinema profiles for advanced color grading in case you want to get artsy. Now, the main appeal of the A7 IV has to be the body and design. It has a really robust weather-sealed body that you can pretty much take anywhere in the world with you, and it also has a proper pro-style button layout for faster and easier operation. Plus, it also has a dual SD and CF card slot for redundancy and overflow. The viewfinder and screen on the back are excellent. They're nice and bright and high resolution, and the screen is also touch sensitive with touch autofocus. And it also has a large Pro style battery that will easily last you all day or several days depending on how much you shoot. So if you want a proper mirrorless camera for travel without making any sacrifices in terms of design or image quality, the Sony A7 IV might be exactly what you're looking for. And if you like the A7 IV but you wish it had a smaller body, you should also check out the Sony A7C II. It has very similar specs, but it comes in a much smaller body. Plus, it also has better autofocus and stabilization. It's very much worth checking out, and it's about the same price. Now, some of you guys might want a super beginner-friendly travel camera that is easier and more affordable than even your phone. In that case, I have a few recommendations for you guys, and the first one is specifically for photographers, but you can also use it for video, and that is the Canon R50. The R50 is an ultra small and compact camera that literally fits in your jacket pocket, and it's as convenient as your phone to take around. Plus, it has everything you want from a proper photo camera, like a high quality EVF, a nice flip out screen that's also touch sensitive with touch autofocus. But one thing to note, the Canon R50 does have a pretty minimal button layout. It's pretty similar to the Canon R8 and should be fine for most casual users. And the R50 also has a built-in flash, which a lot of you guys will appreciate. Now, the Canon R50 does have a smaller battery compared to a big boy camera, but for casuals and beginners, this battery is actually more than enough. It will easily last you all day for casual use. Inside the Canon R50, you have a 24 megapixel APS-C size sensor, which is pretty typical for cameras like this, and it still has plenty of resolution for high quality photos and videos. And just like every other Canon camera, it also has very warm and saturated colors, which look really nice for nature and portraits. But one thing to note is that the R50 is not amazing in low light, which is one of the reasons they have a flash on this camera. But the autofocus is top notch and easily as good as the Canon R8's autofocus. The key thing to note with the R50 is that it only has digital stabilization, but in my testing, it actually looks really good and I wouldn't worry about it. So if you're doing casual photos and videos, you'll be just fine. As for the actual photos, it shoots really fast at 12 frames per second mechanical shutter mode and 15 frames per second electronic shutter mode. It shoots anywhere between 28 to 42 photos in a row depending on your speed. But it only does this in JPEG mode, which is fine for casual lifestyle and travel photos where you don't plan to edit. But if you do plan to edit, you want to shoot in RAW. And in RAW mode, it can only shoot 7 to 10 photos in a row before the R50 needs a 2 to 3 second break. This should be fine for beginners, but if you're a serious shooter, this camera may not be up to your standards. Video-wise, the Canon R50 is actually pretty great for both casuals and creators. It shoots 4K at 24 and 30 frames per second and slow motion at full HD at 120 frames per second, giving you pretty much everything you could want from a beginner camera. And another cool feature of the Canon R50 is the inclusion of HDR-PQ mode, which is a flat color profile with 10-bit color for anyone that wants to get a little bit artsy and do some color editing. Although there is a camera coming up that can do even better for video, so you might want to stick around. For most beginner and casual photographers, the Canon R50 is a phenomenal choice. It's a well-balanced all-around camera that's also relatively affordable. But if you're a bit more video-oriented for vlogs and travel films, the best travel camera for you might be the Sony ZV-E10 II. It has the exact same 26 megapixel APS-C sensor from the professional FX30 and the Sony A6700. So you get the exact same high quality photos and videos. And the sensor is also very good in low light, up to 6400 ISO for video and 10,000 ISO for photos. Plus, it has very sticky and reliable autofocus with subject detect for animal, people, and cars, and much more. But the ZV-10 II only has digital stabilization, but for most casual users, you'll be just fine. Now, when it comes to actually shooting video, that's where this camera really shines. It shoots 4K at 24, 30, and 60 frames per second for 2x slow motion, and you still get full HD at 60 and 120 frames per second. But my favorite video feature is cinematic vlog mode, where the camera adds black bars to the top and bottom for a cinematic aspect ratio and gives you an adjustable film look, or you can even use your own LUT. So you can get a cinematic look to your video with basically zero work. However, you can only use this in 4K at 24 frames per second. And if you want more flexibility and you want to get your hands dirty, you also have S-Log 3 in 10-bit color, and you will get the exact same results that you would otherwise with an FX30, which is a proper cinema camera. Photo is equally good, but there is something you should know about. The ZV-10 II can shoot 10 frames per second with a pretty large frame buffer for continuous shooting, and this makes it a really great camera for action and movement. However, it doesn't have a physical shutter and it's electronic shutter only, which might cause some jello or strobing, which can easily be fixed. The camera itself is small and lightweight and easily as convenient as your smartphone. But one giant positive about the ZV-10 II is that it does have a large Pro-style battery, which can easily last you all day of heavy shooting or even 3 to 4 days of casual use. The ZV-10 II also has a reimagined button layout that makes it much easier and faster to use this camera. One thing to note is that this camera does not have an EVF or a built-in flash. Instead, you have a 3-capsule microphone for better in-camera audio, which is perfect for vlogging. Plus, you also have a very high-quality flip-out screen that's also touch-sensitive with touch autofocus, and you also have a quick menu to access all of your major settings. The ZV-10 II has pro camera specs, but at a much more affordable price point, and in my opinion, it is without a doubt the best camera for vloggers and video-oriented shooters. And if you want to make sure you get the best pricing on the ZV-10 II or the other cameras we talk about, check out the links down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.